Yummy, yummy.
When I was training as a psychologist, one of the key texts for me was by a New York psychoanalyst called Irvin Yalom.
Mhm.
And he had a book called Mama and the Meaning of Life. First of all, I loved the title. And it was really about how the minutiae and the little everyday moments in life put together is what makes life extraordinary. And I just that concept. And for me, I took something from that baking is so, in some ways, very ordinary, very homely, very domestic, and yet actually the kind of power behind that is something that we maybe recognize, but we've never really talked about. So it was a kind of pinching of that title to sort of echo those sentiments.
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to, I'm just looking at my notes and I'm actually going to go backwards now because I do think we should continue with this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The act of baking, I have been shouting this from the rooftops, and I'm just a home baker. I think I'm actually quite a good baker, but I have always said for years that I found baking as a form of therapy. And a lot of people would kind of like laugh at that and be like, oh God, that's so cliche, whatever. But there was something about the science of it, the idea that I could step into a kitchen, switch off and follow a recipe. Because with baking, you kind of need to get your measurements. It's not like cooking.
You can be humming and talking to somebody on the phone, chopping onion.
Yeah.
But with baking,
I'm concentrating.
Yes, exactly. And it's that mindfulness. I hate that word. It's a bit overused. But it's that sense of the rhythm, the kind of focus. It's very embodied, kneading pastry and beating eggs. It's very sensory.
It touches on all different senses as well. I mean, sometimes I get quite stressed when I'm baking as well.
Right.
Sort of on a complete sort of other side. I think because I'm a perfectionist, I'll be looking in the oven. Is it rising? Is this happening? Is the icing perfect? When you sort of got into baking, was this mindset there for you, having your sort of background of psychology?
No, it really wasn't. I think I gravitated towards it because I was probably a bit of a nervous, anxious person. And I think I naturally gravitated towards it because of that sense of the immersion. You're really immersed in baking and you do forget about everything else. So I think unconsciously I was drawn to it as a way to kind of maybe soothe myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously when you finish, the thing, that's that sense of mastery, that sense of accomplishment. Like you say, you're a bit nervous.
Yeah.
Is it going to work?
Yeah.
And then that feeling when you've kind of achieved it, that feeling of accomplishment, I think it's just such a great sort of,
completely.
And I don't think I knew it explicitly, but I just felt drawn to it probably for those reasons.
What does the act of baking mean to you?
Gosh, so many things. At first, I think it was just this idea that, you said before that there's the recipe to follow. You're not having to kind of do something wild. If you know that it's a good book, it's a good it's a good writer, you can follow the recipe and get somewhere. So for a time, it was just this idea of being able to make something, follow the rules and accomplish that. But now, and through writing the book, which although I knew kind of vaguely that there was power behind it, I'd never really talked about it explicitly. In fact, working in kitchens where I was in the pastry section, I'd sometimes felt a bit apologetic, like it was the trivial sort of section, the kind of afterthought to the meal. And then actually, what I realized is that lots of people go to a fancy restaurant like the one I worked in, to celebrate things, all kinds of things. But it's that moment when you bring out a cake and you've piped happy birthday, their faces light up and it touches on something else. It's a sense of celebrating or marking something important. So while we've always sort of celebrated with food, I think we do mark the important moments in life with baking, with cake.
Couldn't agree
more. You think of, I've done wedding cakes and I know somehow that I'm connected to that person forever because I made that wedding cake.
Yes, it's that element of a meal in a celebration or even a commiseration or anything that you always go back to.
Yeah.
Like I think about like my wedding. So our cake collapsed. We never had our wedding cake.
Right.
It collapsed on the way to the venue because it was various reasons, but it was too hot of a day. And don't ask me how. The man who catered our wedding baked a 3-tiered wedding cake during our ceremony, and it was ready for the reception.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, that's another story for another day. Hungry for more? Hit subscribe.